Welcome to my channel. I never imagined that a single dare could unravel everything I thought I knew about myself. It started innocently, a Friday night with my friends, laughter echoing through my small apartment, music thumping softly from a corner speaker. Someone, Jake I think, pulled a small tote bag from under the couch. He grinned, holding up a delicate pink blouse. "You'll never do it," he said, voice teasing, eyes sharp with challenge. "Do what?" I asked, trying to laugh it off, though my heart suddenly felt like it might explode. "This," he said, holding the blouse out. "Just try it on. Come on, don't chicken out." I froze. Every pair of eyes was suddenly on me. My pulse surged, my stomach twisted, and laughter caught in my throat. "Me? Where? That?" I stammered, my fingers unconsciously tracing the hem of my hoodie. "Yeah, just try it. For fun," someone else added, teasing but insistent. I held the blouse, silky and soft, almost hypnotic. My reflection in the window caught me for a second. I barely recognized myself. My chest tightened. My skin tingled. "Go on," Jake pushed, smirking. "Or are you too scared?" "I'll try it," I said, voice trembling. The moment the fabric brushed my skin, a shock ran through me. It hugged my shoulders, flowed along my chest, and settled into folds that felt right. My reflection didn't mock me. It watched, curious, almost patient. Cheers erupted around me, but I barely heard them. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. Who was that person in the mirror? Familiar, yet undeniably different. Then a dangerous thought whispered, "I don't want to take this off." The next morning everything felt wrong. My regular clothes were stiff, heavy, suffocating. Every piece seemed to remind me of the version of myself I was supposed to be, not the one I had glimpsed in that pink blouse. At school, the hallways felt narrower, the laughter louder, whispers sharper. Every glance I caught in a passing mirror or reflective surface made my stomach twist. I kept my hoodie pulled up, hands buried deep in my pockets, desperate to disappear, but it didn't help. "Hey, you okay?" Sarah asked softly, approaching me in the corridor. Her brow was furrowed, eyes full of concern. "Yeah, fine," I mumbled, face burning. "You seem different," she said, voice gentle, searching. I forced a laugh, trying to push down the thrill that bubbled in my chest. The same thrill I'd felt when the blouse first brushed my skin. Different? Maybe, but in a way I can't explain. Even in class, I noticed subtle changes in how I carried myself. My shoulders rolled, my posture softened, my movements shifted, even if just slightly. Each motion felt foreign yet natural, and it made me hyper-aware of every stare and whisper. At lunch I isolated myself, scrolling through my phone, pretending to be absorbed. But every passing glance from friends, classmates, even strangers passing by, made my heart race. Beneath the anxiety, a spark of excitement lingered. A dangerous, intoxicating curiosity I couldn't ignore. When I got home, the temptation became unbearable. My hands reached instinctively for the blouse, tracing its silky fabric over and over. I inhaled its faint scent, a mix of soft laundry soap and something uniquely hers. My fingers lingered on the hem, the collar, feeling the gentle weight of it, the smoothness against my skin. I slowly pulled it over my head. The fabric hugged my shoulders, flowed along my chest, settled across my waist. My reflection in the mirror froze me. I wasn't a stranger, but I wasn't fully me either. My chest tightened. My breath caught. I whispered to the reflection, barely audibly, "What is happening to me?" And the reflection stared back calmly, patient. For the first time I realized something that both terrified and thrilled me. I didn't want to take it off. That night the apartment was quiet, perfectly quiet. The kind of silence that makes every heartbeat thunder in your ears. I sat on the edge of my bed, the pink blouse folded carefully in my lap. My fingers traced its soft fabric again and again, trembling slightly as if it held some dangerous secret. Each touch sent shivers up my spine. My chest tightened, my stomach fluttered, and an unfamiliar thrill curled in my toes. I whispered to myself, "Just curiosity. Just a moment." I unfolded the blouse and held it against me, savoring its weight, its silky warmth. Its scent, a mix of faint laundry soap and something uniquely hers, made my head spin. Slowly I slipped it over my head. The moment it brushed my shoulders, everything shifted. I felt lighter, softer. My posture changed without my conscious control. My shoulders relaxed. My jaw unclenched. My breathing slowed, almost melodic. I froze in front of the mirror. The reflection wasn't a stranger, but it wasn't fully me either. I touched the fabric against my chest, traced the collar, adjusted the folds over my waist. Embarrassment pricked my neck, a small voice in my mind warning me, "This isn't right. Someone could catch you." But beneath the fear, warmth spread through me, a dangerous, delicious warmth. I whispered to the reflection, testing my voice, "Hello?" My words were soft, hesitant, unfamiliar. I repeated them, letting the pitch stretch slightly. The sound made me shiver. I experimented further. Tilting my head, smoothing the blouse, practicing subtle smiles. Each gesture, each motion, felt like discovering a secret world I didn't know existed. Every shift in posture, every flick of my fingers, every tiny smile reinforced a truth I hadn't dared admit before. I was alive in a way I hadn't realized I could be. Hours passed unnoticed. Shadows shifted in the room. The street outside grew silent. And still I explored. My reflection watched patiently, silently encouraging me. I practiced speaking softly, tilting my voice up just slightly. I swayed, moved, gestured, testing how it felt. Every subtle change revealed a new part of myself, a part that had always been there but never had permission to exist. Fear lingered, the thought of someone discovering me, judging me, laughing, but I let it sit in the corner, powerless against the thrill I felt. Finally, reluctantly, I removed the blouse and folded it carefully. But even as it lay in my bag, I knew something had changed. Tentative, nervous, scared, I was all of those, but also alive, curious, free. Lying in bed, heart still racing, I whispered to the darkness, "I can't go back. I don't want to." And for the first time, that wasn't terrifying. It was exhilarating. The first time I left my apartment wearing her clothes, my heart pounded like it might burst. My hand hovered over the doorknob, frozen with fear and anticipation. "You don't have to do this," I whispered to myself. But beneath the fear, a quiet, insistent thought pushed me forward. "You already are." The hallway seemed impossibly long, each step amplified by the pounding of my own heartbeat. I felt every subtle shift in my body, the sway of my hips, the gentle roll of my shoulders, the soft lift of my chest beneath the fabric. Each movement was foreign, yet thrilling, almost intoxicating. The elevator ride was worse. My knuckles whitened as I gripped the railing. A couple stepped in, chatting casually, oblivious to me. I pressed into the corner, eyes down, wishing I could disappear. Then she smiled at me. Just a casual, friendly smile, and said, "Hi." "Hi," I whispered back, voice trembling. But this time the tremor didn't feel like weakness. It felt alive, like electricity running through me. Outside, sunlight hit my face. The blouse shimmered faintly in the light. I paused, noticing the way it flowed over my body, how natural it felt to move this way. For the first time in weeks, I felt grounded. Present. I walked to a small cafe, my first public trial. I hesitated at the door, took a deep breath, and stepped inside. The barista smiled casually, asked my order, and I realized the world hadn't ended. I clutched my coffee, heart still racing, staring at my reflection in the glass partition. And for the first time, I didn't flinch. I smiled, and my reflection smiled back. Over the next few weeks, I ventured further. Bookstores, grocery stores, parks, sometimes just walking down the street. Every step carried a tangle of emotions. Fear, excitement, anxiety, curiosity. Whispers followed me. Eyes lingered. Some people laughed quietly. Some stared openly. And yet, with each venture, something shifted. I walked taller. I met eyes without flinching. I smiled without shame. Compliments, fleeting glances, acknowledgement, they all seeped warmth into my chest. I experimented with posture, gestures, and tone. Tilting my head, adjusting my voice, softening my hands' movements. Each subtle change shaped how the world saw me, and more importantly, how I saw myself. By the end of the month, I wasn't just surviving outside. I was daring to exist as myself. Fear still lingered, but it no longer controlled me. The thrill of authenticity, the small victories, the freedom, they outweighed it all. And for the first time in years, I realized I liked who I was becoming. I should have known it wouldn't stay hidden forever. The changes weren't subtle anymore. My posture, my gestures, my very presence reflected who I was becoming. And now the world was noticing. It happened at work first. I chose an outfit that was subtle, just enough to hint at who I was without drawing attention. But as soon as I walked past my coworkers, I felt their eyes. Conversations dipped. Whispers lingered. Sarah approached me cautiously. "Are you okay? You seem different lately." I forced a laugh, voice tight. "I'm fine." Her gaze lingered, searching, concerned. "Are you sure?" I nodded, hiding the truth I wasn't ready to speak. Later, my manager asked me into his office. My stomach knotted as I walked toward the door, each step heavier than the last. "Sit," he said, calm but deliberate. I obeyed, hands clenched in my lap. He studied me for a long moment, then finally spoke. "There have been concerns about you," he said carefully. Panic surged. "Concerns? About me?" "Yes," he replied. "People are noticing changes." Every instinct screamed at me to deny it, to retreat, to hide. To go back to the safety of my old life. But beneath the fear, a stronger voice whispered. "This is your life. Your choice." This isn't a phase," I admitted, voice trembling but gaining strength with every word. "This is who I am. And I can't go back to pretending." He leaned back, thoughtful. "Some may struggle with it," he said slowly. "But I respect your honesty." Relief washed over me, tempered by adrenaline. The tension in my chest eased slightly, but the real lesson hit harder than any acceptance could. Authenticity doesn't come from everyone else. Starts with me. I could hide, fold myself back into expectations, or I could step fully into this truth. And for the first time I chose the latter. Walking back to my desk, each step felt lighter. My reflection in the glass caught me, and for the first time I smiled without fear. I wasn't just surviving. I was beginning to live. The days after that confrontation felt lighter. Not easy, fear didn't vanish, but clarity replaced the constant panic. I stopped splitting my life into before and after. I no longer rehearsed explanations in my head. When people asked, I answered simply. When no one asked, I let silence exist without guilt. At work, reactions varied. Some avoided eye contact. Some whispered. Others, surprisingly, offered small gestures of understanding. A nod, a smile, a quiet "I see you." Sarah sat with me at lunch again, casual, normal, but I noticed the difference. She was truly listening now. "You seem happier," she said one afternoon. "I am," I admitted, smiling genuinely for the first time in months. Outside work, my world grew. Communities that celebrated authenticity welcomed me. They became my chosen family, offering support, advice, and encouragement without judgment. I embraced freedom in small ways first. Posture, tone, gestures. Clothes that reflected me. A voice that matched the softness I felt inside. I no longer flinched at my reflection. I smiled back. One evening, my mother visited unexpectedly. She paused in the doorway, eyes tracing me, soft and patient. "You look happy," she said. "I am," I whispered, tears threatening to spill. She stepped closer, cupping my face gently. "That's all I've ever wanted for you." And in that moment, I realized something powerful. Empowerment isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing yourself despite it. Standing before my mirror later that night, fully myself, fully seen, I understood. I wasn't borrowing this life anymore. I was living it, fully, unapologetically, beautifully. Every gesture, every choice, every step forward became a declaration. I existed for no one but myself. And that was enough. I used to think transformation required losing everything to gain something new. I thought it had to be loud, dramatic, impossible. But sometimes change begins quietly. A touch, a thought, a single daring choice. One moment can shift everything. I didn't become someone new. I became whole. I embraced who I had been too afraid to be, the part of me that longed to breathe, to move, to exist freely. Fear still visits sometimes, but it no longer controls me. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward anyway. If you feel that quiet pull, that question in your chest, don't ignore it. You don't need permission. You don't need to explain yourself. You only need to be brave enough to explore who you really are. Sometimes one small push is all it takes to change everything. And once you let it, there's no going back. Only forward.